Hello everyone, welcome back to Flying Solo with Kat, and today I'm really excited. I'm gonna be talking about pin trading and how to start, some tips and tricks, my pin trading experience, and some controversy surrounding pin trading. And I'm really excited. I am relatively new to pin trading. I only started about last January, and there's so many things that I could learn from pin trading, but I wanted to give you guys kind of an inside scoop of someone who hasn't been doing it for too long, but stuff I've already started to see and stuff that I can definitely help you guys with. So if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. And thank you all for supporting the last couple of videos. I know that these videos don't do as well because they're not character focused, but I love that for this channel I'm able to talk about whatever I want, and I'm really trying to make a community, like a safe space that we can enjoy some Disney, enjoy some Star Wars, and just enjoy some media all together. So thank you all for listening again, and let's get into it. So how do you start pin trading? It seems so daunting, kind of even thinking about, oh, what pins am I going to get? Where do I have to go? It's anxiety inducing. And that was kind of me the first time that I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to pin trade. I'm a bit scared, but we're going to see how it goes. And the first thing you want to do is get pins you would hate or wouldn't mind giving away. The main issue that I see people starting pin trading is they get pins that they really, really like. And they get pins that they don't want to trade. And so then every time they go to places to trade, they're like, I don't really know, unless they see a pin that's like so much better than the one they have, and then of course they're going to trade it. But that's very rare. When you have a pin that you really, really like, most of the time you don't trade it. And that's the main issue that I see people starting out with, is they start out with pins that they really, really like, or pins that they got for a gift or, for their birthday, and they don't want to trade those. I don't want you to trade those. I want you to trade pins that are honestly the cheapest, have probably your least favorite characters on them, and kind of just get what I start out with is 6. I think 6 is a great number and gives you a lot of flexibility. I would say if you don't want to spend that much money, I would say start out with a good 4. And get pins that you do not like. You will not mind giving away. The second thing is, don't be afraid of cast members. Another one of the things that I see is that people are too afraid to go ask cast members, hey, is there pin trading here? Or ask cast members like, hey, do you pin trade, if they have like a lanyard. And they miss so many great opportunities. And for one, just talking with the cast members, they don't mind you coming up to them and asking about pin trading. Please, it's actually probably one of their highlights of their day, because it's kind of like okay, this person's like chill, they know what they're doing, instead of somebody else complaining to them. And they are, for one, super, super nice, and I've had so many great conversations with cast members just about pin trading and talking with them while I'm pin trading. Another thing is, a lot of them will do, well, I shouldn't say a lot, some of them, depending on which areas you are in, will actually do little games with you. So they'll ask you trivia, and I've done that twice, and each cast member was absolutely amazing. They were so much fun, and of course I killed it on the trivia. I mean, come on. And it's just, you never know you're going to have those opportunities, and a lot of times they're super, super nice. So please don't be afraid of cast members. Don't be afraid to ask them. Don't feel like you're intruding on anything. Like, they are there to help you, and a lot of times you get into great conversations with them. Third thing, you can say no to a trade. You can go, oh, I'm good, thank you. Be respectful about it and go, oh, those pins are terrible, and then just leave, right? But a lot of times I'll go up to pin boards, I'm looking, the cast member's right there, like staring you down. Not in a mean way, I love cast members, but like, they watch you to make sure you're doing stuff right. And then, you see pins, but you're not really interested. None of them are sticking out to you, really. And you do not have to trade at every place that you stop. You absolutely do not. If I see a pin that maybe, well, for one, I'll talk about kind of the pins that I look out for later, but if I see a Star Wars pin, I immediately look at it. I go, okay, would this look great in my collection? It's half and half for me personally. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. And if I see that, then yes, I will trade. If I see any of my favorite Disney princesses, I will trade. But if I don't really see any of that, or a lot of pins that I've kind of seen other places and I don't really care for, I just say, I'm good, thank you. Have a great day. That's it. That's all you have to do. You can 100% say no. Don't feel panicked when you're there and they're, watching you and you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to pick a pin because I feel bad for bothering them. That was me like the first 2 times. And then I realized like that's not being good for me and my pin trading experience. It makes it more, not as fun because you feel like you have to trade every time. So I learned that you could definitely say no. Fourth thing is if you get a pin that you like, don't trade it. Don't. What I have gone through my lanyard is that when I trade a pin that, normally I like, now sometimes I trade a pin that I'm like, okay, I probably could trade that for a different thing. Just it depends if something better, comes through, then that's fine. But if you get like a lot of my Star Wars pins that you saw in the thumbnail and in the beginning of the video on my board, a lot of those actually were trades. And I traded those because they were like really, really good. And for the rest of the day, I kept those on me. I still put them on my lanyard, of course, because I want to show off, but I did not trade those pins. Absolutely not. So it's okay. If you get a pin that you like, there's no obligation. You need to trade it. A lot of times for the pins that I want to keep, that I have traded through the day, once I come back home, I take those pins off my trading lanyard and I put them on the board. That's basically what I do. And honestly, that's the whole point of pin trading. You want to have fun. You want to find pins that you like and have that opportunity that's different than a lot of things that are at Disneyland or at California Adventure. Now, I will say, when you do start out, it is very daunting. There are a lot of pins in the Disney, space. And you're going to see a lot of pins and you're going to want all of them, most of them. You're going to want most of them. And you need to kind of look at yourself and be like, okay, do I really need that pin? Or, could I maybe trade it for something else? And of course, that's my thought process. And that's me with just shopping in general. So not at all like, you have to do it that way. You could literally just say like, yeah, no, I like that pin. I'm going to trade. I'm going to trade this. I'm going to trade that. I will say that it's a universal rule and it's sometimes imposed to places, sometimes not. But it is a universal rule for pin traders is it's only 2 pins per board. So if you see 3 pins that you like on the board, you will have to choose just 2 pins and then trade 2 pins back to them. And for that, it's just to keep the board fresh, kind of, and to also just make sure someone's not just getting all the good stuff off the board. If what I find on the start of a week, so either Sundays or Mondays, the boards are fresh. And I will not say that for sure, but I do find that a lot of the pins that I like, or a lot of the pins that are newer that I did not see the week before, they kind of replace them. Now, I believe they actually do replace them every day, but I'm really not too sure about that. So most of the times they replace them, they're going to do it with pins that, they got from the previous day. But for me, what I have found in my, space is that you will find newer pins for pin trading on Sunday and Monday. And normally by Friday there are a lot of they're okay. They're not too bad, but I still kind of prefer doing the Sunday Monday run because you see a lot more pins and you see a lot more of a variety in that sense and everything. So that's basically just my tips on how to start. It's really not that hard. It really isn't. And that's what I think makes pin trading super fun and also like super easy. Just if you remember those tips, like I promise you will have a great time. And don't stress yourself out about it. If you think it's too much for you, if you don't like choosing, just buy the pins and then just show them on a lanyard when you're there. I 98% of the time, a cast member will not come up to you and be like, hey, do you want to trade your pins? 98% of the time. I've had that happen one time, and he was super, super nice. And I did trade with him, actually. Yeah, I did trade with him. And, they don't know. But 98% of the time, they will not come up to you. And you're good to just be vibing and just have your pins out to show, people that, hey, they got a couple cool pins. So don't stress yourself out about it, but it's just something that I loved, and I kind of wished I would have known how to start kind of pin trading. I really just did this all on my own, and I had to learn a lot of things. And that's going to get into our tips and tricks and kind of how to help you have the best experience while pin trading. So one of the tips that I have is go to any store outside of rides. Now, what I like about Disneyland and what is not like Disney World is that some rides have stores, but they're not necessarily like you don't walk right into them as you leave the ride, which I preferably like because, especially having kids around you, the first thing that they will see after they're walking out of a ride is the store. And at Disney World, that was really hard because you walked right into a store after you exited. Like, it was the building that, like, was in the exit. For one, it created a lot of traffic, and two, like, kids see that and you can't say no, right? So that was really hard for me. But in Disneyland, it's a bit different to where they are separated, to where you could just exit and then just keep going. But the stores are right near them. It's not like, they're across the park. So I would say go to any store outside of rides that they will either always, most of the time, have pin boards that you could trade with or have pins related to the ride. And for me, that's for one really nice because I know for a fact Haunted Mansion, they have a pin board. Pirates of the Caribbean store, they have a pin board. The Star Tours, Star Wars area, they have a pin board. They have a pin board by Small World, and they have a pin board. Well, they had a pin board. Sometimes they do move around, but they had a pin board right after you got out of Runaway Railway. And you'll find that for a lot of rides. I mean, even after, Alice in Wonderland, there's in the Mad Hatter, they do have a pin board there. So a lot of stores will have pin boards. Now, I would say like the Shop Disney stores and like the big Disney stores that are right on Main Street, they do not. They, most of the time. Now, like I said, it is a bit, this is why I say talk to cast members, because they will move around pin boards, so you never have a guaranteed spot of where a pin board is at all. They could always move it. When I went to New Orleans Square one time and I went to these specific shops, in the same day they moved the pin board into different shops and I was with a different person. And to me, that just makes it all the more fun. Now, to some people it could be like really daunting and really annoying, which is completely valid, but for me it makes it like fresh and fun and something that I never really know which store I'm gonna find the pins at. So, of course, I would say just go to any store, really, but if you kind of want to bypass the bigger stores, I would say your best bet is to go to stores that are right after the rides. Another trick is that if you see a cast member with a lanyard or a pin bag, and a pin bag is basically kind of like not a handbag, but an over-the-shoulder bag that is clear, and they have all their pins being shown to you, there is a very, very high chance that they might trade with you. If you ask, of course. And some cast members do just have a pin lanyard, just for whatever. But a lot of times, if you ask them, hey, would you like to trade? They will trade with you. They are so down. They, think, oh, wow, something different in my day. So if you do see that, I would implore you to go up to a cast member with a lanyard bag. I will say, and this goes to like my previous statement, it is really hard to say no when they're right there. I've gotten a bit better at saying no when I ask a cast member if they want to trade, but a lot of times I try to scope out like, okay, do they have pins that I like, and I kind of do that whole thing. Now, some cast members are different. Some will go ahead and say like, okay, yeah, I'll trade you this pin for that pin. They will initiate the trade, which is a bit different from when you go into stores, to where you can literally just put a pin on the board and choose anyone you want. You do not have to ask anyone. Or some cast members will basically go like, sure, which one would you like? So it all depends about the person, and it makes it fresh and fun. But I will say it is a bit harder to say no when they're right there in front of you. So I would try to scope out their lanyard or bag first before asking them. Also, make sure your pins are secure, please. That is my one gripe about people just having pins in general, or especially giving children pins and putting it on their shirt. These pins are heavy. Most pins, actually all pins, are metal. Some of them do have fabric, but all pins are basically metal. You have little like nubs that you put on the sharp part, and that sticks them to the lanyard. And literally, the last time I went to Disneyland, I was very, very lucky. And I was walking into Disneyland, like right when I got past the gate, and my shoe is like sliding. And I'm hitting it against the ground, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I turn my shoe over, and there is a full pin. It was Minnie in a Pirates of the Caribbean outfit, which I love. I did not keep her, though. I'm willing to trade her, but I turned my shoe around, and she was like in my shoe. And I was very thankful that I did not get punctured in any way, because that is also very, very dangerous, especially if I stepped on it. But no, she was just in the base of my shoe, and she was stuck in there too. I had to really pull her out. And long story short, for one, I got a free pin, which was amazing. So I got to do a couple trades that day. And secondly, I did kind of feel bad because someone lost, most likely a kid, that pin, but the backing was not on it. So that is also another thing. It wasn't like a full pin that it dropped out of someone's bag. It was just the pin. It did not have the little nub for the backing. So please, if you're with your kids, just make sure that they are secure. They are not messing around with them. I have caught myself messing around with them, which, for one, frays the lanyard, and two, it makes the nub a lot harder to stick in originally. So I would recommend you kind of either watching your kids if they are considering on trading, or just for yourself kind of being aware of the lanyard. And what I do is I put it away during rides. Like while I'm in queue for the ride, I make sure to take off the lanyard and I put it in my backpack. You are not going to be pin trading on the actual ride. I promise you, your pins will be fine. Put it in a bag. You're good. Another thing is get pins that you like. Pin trading is all about having fun, of course, but it's also about finding pins that you like, and that is a way that you express yourselves. A lot of pins that I like, though, most of the pins that I like and that you did find on the pin board, I do buy. And it is a bit of an investment, but I just love the fact of pins, and that for one, you could display them. I could technically take my pins off my board, put them on a lanyard, and display them when I'm at Disneyland. And or I could do a pin bag. And for me, that's just like so much fun. And you get to kind of see just like the different pins for basically everything. And especially when people do have pins or they do pin trade, it's so much fun to see the different pins that they have collected over the years. Of course, Disney releases new pins every year. My favorite pin that I have gotten is the Forces of Destiny girl Star Wars pins that you did see at the beginning of the video. They were all the ones on the top left. And I love Forces of Destiny, that show on Disney Plus. Please go watch it. And they came out with a whole line of female-oriented pins because of they were doing a whole Star Wars Women's Day, which I absolutely loved. Those pins I actually did get at Walt Disney World. It was really fun because the entire day we went to different hotels, and I actually collected all of those pins from the different Disney World hotels. If you guys are interested to hear about my Disney World story, it is a really interesting one. Please comment down below because I would love to talk about it, but I don't want to be that person. But anyway, we went to all different hotels and I collected the entire series of Forces of Destiny just by that trip. And it started me off on my pin journey. It really did. And I owe them everything and I love them so much. They are my favorite pins. And it was a mystery pack as well. So some pins that like you really like, they are always a mystery pack. So you do have to be careful, and it was definitely a rough investment, but I am very happy to have the whole collection and I love them so much. So those are my favorites. So get pins that you like. You will probably have to spend money, but get pins that you like and enjoy pin trading and enjoy buying pins because they're super fun, and it's something that you can kind of experience with the whole family. I like when a couple of my friends came over from a different country, I asked them, hey, if you see any pins on a pin board, let me know. I will trade for that pin and you can keep the pin. And actually I got to trade a pin for my friend that came over, and she got her first Disney pin, and that was great for me. Like, being able to do that for someone and giving them the opportunity to where they're not stressed about buying a whole new pin, it was great. So get pins that you like. It is okay to buy pins and not want to trade them. This just reiterates kind of what I said before. My entire Forces of Destiny series did not trade them. Now, the duplicates that I got out of those packs, I did end up trading. But for the actual full entire set, no, I did not trade them. And that's okay. No one's forcing you to trade pins. You know, if you go to Disneyland, California Adventure, Walt Disney World one day and you don't see any pins that you like, that's okay. I mean, it's a little sad, but it's okay. You don't need to trade those pins. Reiterating what I said again, go into every store, but also look at pricing. Now, pricing is really interesting with Disney. They have colors, and some of them are color-coded, and I don't remember exactly the colors, but you will have $11 ones, you will have $15 ones, and then you will have $25 ones. Those are around the pricing increments. And a lot of your $11 ones are a lot of the ones that have writing on it, not really a character. Your $15 ones and $25 ones will have characters on them. Your $25 ones will mostly be the bigger pins and be the more extravagant pins. And for me, if I see a pin, I, first see, okay, would I want to buy this? Sure. Then I look at the pricing. If it is in that 25 range, then I will consider again. But if it is in that $15, $11 range, perfect. I will go for it. A lot of your $25 ones will be around limited edition or will be that they're kind of going away. So I would also take that into consideration, but it all depends on what pins you like and, which one you would consider even buying. Now, it is a bit annoying when I go to Galaxy's Edge and I see pins there and I'm like, okay, that's not bad. And then I go to Star Tours in that area and then I see pins and I'm like, oh, those are different than the ones at Galaxy's Edge. And then I go to Adventureland into the actual pin trading store and I see like 8 new different pins of Star Wars that I did not see at either Star Tours or Galaxy's Edge. So, word of advice, you will need to walk around. And if you see a pin online that you really want, I would consider going to literally every store and seeing if they have it. Because I was looking for a new Indiana Jones pin that I thought they were going to have, at least for the ride, at least. I would love to get one even for the ride, and because I do not have one. And I was asking a cast member, and they said, oh, well, actually, it's over there in the pin trading store in Adventureland. And I said, oh, okay. So I went over there, and they were like, oh, no, it was at the store you just went to. And I was like, well, I checked there, and I checked here, and they were not there. And they were like, oh, okay, well, then I would suggest going here. So I went to the other place. Long story short, I never found the pin at all. I don't even know if it exists. But I love cast members, but a lot of times they don't really know where your certain pin is when it comes to that. They know where pin trading booths are. They do have that information, but they do not have information on the exact pin that you are looking for or the exact kind of theme that you are looking for. So be vigilant onto where you're pin trading and pin stopping and wanting to buy a pin, because long story short, you will always find pins to where they're not supposed to be, and you will find pins that you did not see to where they were supposed to be. So those are my tips and tricks kind of, and what is best for me and what has helped me kind of in the pin trading experience. And what is my pin trading experience? And I'll dive into that right now. So my pin trading experience has actually been really, really good. I have met so many amazing cast members that it just, after years and years of going to Disneyland, I felt like I needed almost a change. I, had done kind of everything. And I wanted to experience something new. So when I found out about pin trading and kind of what you had to do for it, I was completely interested. And like I said, I started off with the Forces of Destiny series. And with those duplicates that I got out of those boxes, I actually started my pin trading journey. And then that developed into me getting a whole bunch of different pins and all of that. And it's been very, very fun. But where have I gone, kind of? I go everywhere. Like I said before, you have places where they will always have pin boards, and then you have places where you don't. Sometimes they switch it up. I have also found secret, quote unquote, secret spaces. And like, for example, right when you go into the Winnie the Pooh, like, queue, ride queue, they have this huge box in front of it. And I've never really realized, like, why it was there. I actually was following behind this very nice woman and her son, and they were hitting the entire route for pin trading. So I kind of just followed silently behind them. And they asked one of the cast members that always stands right before, well, not always, but most of the time they stand right before, and they asked him, hey, can I see your pin board? And she actually just opened up the box right before the queue, and she pulled out this entire board of pins, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never knew you could do that. And so you learn also new things as well. And that's what's been fun for me to kind of just walk around Disneyland and really experience talking with cast members. And I think that's been the most influential on me, being able to talk with cast members and to kind of give them a chill time while I'm pin trading, and we talk for a bit. And I love that. I love talking with people, and especially people that give their lives for Disney, and do that every day, because I definitely probably couldn't do that, and it's a lot of work. And I love just chatting with them and having a bit of fun. When I go to Disney, I'm a Disney adult, but not in the sense of what you've seen on social media. I'm very much of like, I will literally just go to Disneyland to like walk around. I do not need to ride any rides. I do prefer riding rides because come on, it's Disneyland. But I love being in the atmosphere of Disneyland, and that's very special to me and something that I've always grown up with. But now I have the opportunity to kind of just vibe it out and just eat some good food, and that's it. And of course, I'm very lucky. Not many people can do that, but for me, it's Disneyland has so many different opportunities. And even if you are going once, I would say that if you're staying for like a whole week, that pin trading is very, very, very much worth it. Because if you're going to the park like 4 days in a row, in a week, the same park or even both parks, I would say it's beneficial to do pin trading, especially with the kids and stuff. It's very fun for them to have something to do to where you're not necessarily having to spend money, but they still feel like they're getting something in a way. I do want to talk about a bit why I prefer Disneyland pin trading to California Adventure pin trading. I will just say right now, the cast members, I am not blaming them for how they do pin trading at the different parks. I understand that things happen. I get it. But Disneyland, I always have like 9 out of 10 an amazing experience when pin trading. The cast members are always super, super nice, even if I ask them, hey, do you have a pin trading board? Like, they're always like, oh, no, sorry, if you check over there, we might have one. They're very, very, very nice. In California Adventure, I don't find that a lot. They don't have as many pin boards at California Adventure. California Adventure is a smaller park in and of itself, but it always seems that the cast members are kind of like annoyed. Not saying that it's every cast member, but when I've asked before, they're always like, oh, well, no, we don't have those here. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, I am way more comfortable pin trading at Disneyland than I am pin trading at California Adventure. I do think because California Adventure is renowned as more of the adult park than Disneyland. But in that sense, I don't know. I've had an interesting relationship with California Adventure a lot recently. It just seems like the park doesn't really know what it wants to be, and it's a bit of a struggle, while Disneyland like gets it. They understand the assignment and they got it. So California is struggling just a bit. So I do prefer pin trading at Disneyland, but you could totally trade at California Adventure. But for me personally, in my experiences, I do prefer pin trading at Disneyland. And when I do go to California Adventure, I most of the time don't even wear my lanyard. I kind of just, I'm more focused on getting on rides there as well. So that's my experience. You could have a different experience, but I just prefer Disneyland. And yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's why I do it. It's fun. I get to see some amazing pins, and it's something different for, you have a different experience every time you go because you see new pins. You don't always see the same pins. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much. The pin board that I have, that is a collection of over, a year and a half to a year of pins. I I actually hadn't started a year. Trading I started this year, but I would collect every ride pin that I got. So when I went to Disney World, I actually tried mostly to collect every new ride for a pin. And pins are always just like, I don't know, it's just something about them that are just like super cute and collectible, and they're really well made. So it's like they're not going to get completely destroyed if you keep them in good condition. And to me, that's what makes them really, really fun, and especially the designs that can go off them. My Some of my favorite pins. I will actually go over that right now. I don't know why I was thinking I wouldn't. But my favorite pins probably have to be the Forces of Destiny. It was just such a beautiful collection. I love the show on Disney Plus. That was really special to me, and it was kind of a silent release, which made me a little angry. They never showed up at Disneyland. I still have not seen them at Disneyland to this day. I don't know if they completely sold out. The only time I saw them were at Disney World. And even then, I got them in a hotel. It wasn't like they were at the pin trading shop at, what's it called? Disney Springs. They were not at Disney Springs. That's actually where I got my first order ones. But they were not at Disney Springs, and I did not find them at any of the parks. All I could find them were in the hotels. And to me, that's crazy. I don't know what the heck happened. I have only seen myself actually have the full collection. I haven't seen much of anyone else kind of post about it. So if you do have the Forces of Destiny pin collection, let me know in the comments. Like, please. I would actually be really interested to see how many people have it or not. So those will probably be my favorite. I do have two specialty collector's pins from when making my lightsaber at Sabi's workshop. Those you get when you choose your lightsaber like type. So you have power and control, which is my first one, and that's the darker one. And then you have the gold and silver, which is hope and love or something. And I could be wrong about that, but I remember it was something like on the light side. And those pins you can only get, unless someone sells them to you, you can only get when creating your lightsaber. And those are probably my most special. I do have a Star Wars Celebration pin for 2022. I had to remember. And that one was really nice. We got that one for free, and it's simplistic and stuff, but a lot of people have that. And then my center one, which is for the Star Wars night, actually, for Disneyland that I went to, and I still need to make a video on. That one was a huge one, and it's very, very heavy. And I got that one for the night, and I like it. The whole kind of theme was like Jabba's palace, like the Tatooine cantina, and I really do like that. I do like my first order ones. I think they're very simplistic. I get very mad at Disney for marketing the 709 Squadron because we haven't really seen much of them, and I kind of get very pissed because there's no really like definitive Kylo Ren or Rey, or even like Finn and Poe and Rose, like pins. They came out with them in 2015, like when Force Awakens released, but that was really it. That's really all you saw of them. The only ones now that they release are the female ones, which is Ahsoka and Rey, which I do have. I don't exactly know where they are, which is really funny, but they are not on the board. But it's Rey that says Hope, and then it has Ahsoka, and I think there's another one that's Hera. And then they have the standard Kylo Ren with stormtroopers and like his shuttle. And his shuttle one, another one that I have that I got at Galaxy's Edge, I actually do not have on my board. But they're okay. They're fine. I have asked a couple people, like, I am very open to fan creations for pins. I do not need it only to be Disney. I am thinking about buying some pins from some creators, which I'm very excited about because they do not sell a General Hux pin. And you all know, if you're, coming back from the channel, it's my favorite character. So I do hope that either they release that or I will be able to buy some beautiful fan made pins, which I'm very, very excited about, actually. So that's also another thing. Like, I love pins in general. It doesn't have to just be like, oh no, it needs to be Disney. Like, I can't have any other pin. And for me, like, I'm very open to collecting pins that are from, fan made workshops and, by the fans. Because, yeah, Disney, with Star Wars and stuff, they struggle a bit with, like, what, what pins are good and how to market just the First Order in general, which I will probably also do in another video because that's always frustrated me. But I love my pins. They're amazing. I have so much fun, and it's such a beautiful experience. For the most part, I do want to get into, I know this video is getting a bit long, but I do want to get into the controversy of pin trading. And there's two major things of, that you should not be done in pin trading. So the first thing I do want to tackle there are a group of traders, if I should even call them that, collectors outside of Adventureland, and they take up 2 to 3 benches that are right before the opening, and they display their pins. Now, that doesn't seem bad, right? To new people walking in, they're like, oh wow, those are, pin traders, and that's really interesting. I had a conversation with one of them. He was very nice, and I basically asked him, so what is your job here? How does this exactly work? He had 4 books of pins that I could have even flipped through. But I saw some First Order pins that were probably made in 2015, 2016 when The Force Awakens released. And I was interested in them, of course. And I asked him, so how does this work? And he says, well, when you go into the Disney shops and you could trade, no questions asked. I said yes. He said, well, here we need to agree on a trade. And I said, okay. So I showed him my lanyard and I said, does anything pop out to you? I had 2 Forces of Destiny pins that were still new. And as I said before, very hard to find. And he said, oh, well, those, I don't really collect those. I'm not really interested. And I was like, okay. I was in my head, I was like, what the hell? But in my head, I was like, okay, thank you. And I went on my way. So there's 2 things that are controversial about that. For one, they don't trade with people at all. And I asked him, like, do you even take money? And he's like, no. I think because that would be illegal. But they don't trade. Basically, they're just there to show off. That's it. Which already makes me icky in, like, a way, because, like, don't do that. Like, that's such a huge flex to where it's not needed. It just seems like they're putting out their stuff. Now, I did say in, the previous part that when you have lanyards, you kind of get to show off your pins. But that's just a lanyard, right? But this is also the second thing, when you are taking up benches, this is what pisses me off as well. When you are taking up benches for people that might need it, to display your pins that you are not trading, just really rubs me the wrong way. And it really makes me just disappointed to those people. And they're all older people too. It's not like they're kids. It's not like they're, teens just trying to do whatever. They are grown adults showing off. It's like, I don't get it. Now, if it was like a pin meetup, I would understand that. But they are there every day. And sometimes it's the same people, sometimes it is different. I feel like they honestly trade off and they have like a whole signature thing that, oh, we're going on this day. They are always there. I have been on a Monday. I've been on a Saturday. I've been on a Friday. They do leave about nighttime, so you will probably not see them around 6 or 7 o'clock, 6, to closing time. But they are there in the mornings. And it rubs me the wrong way so much. Like, I get it. Look, I probably didn't have what they wanted, but the only things that, I was talking with people, the only things that they really do trade are collector's editions. People that they, what they wouldn't want to trade, which makes sense. And it rubs me the wrong way. And they're right in front of the pin trader place. And you're taking the fun out of pin trading. You really are. You're telling kids, like, oh yeah, no, you want to get to like this level. You need to have this many pins. And, your pins aren't good enough. I'm not going to trade with you. I get it. Saying you don't want to trade with something, that's what I'm not mad about. I'm mad just like, if you're not going to trade with anyone, why are you there? Like, it's not even about a trading thing. It's literally just about them showing off. And it just, like I said, if it was kids or if it was, younger people, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But they are in their 40s and 50s. These are grown adults. I hate it. So, thankfully, I was educated before I even mingled myself with those people. I always ignored them. And I was told that they've been doing this for years and they are taking up bench space that could be used for people who need them. And for me, I don't know why Disney has not done anything about it. I think because they don't take money. But at the same time, it just does not look good when you're walking in. It looks like a swap meet. It's really icky. So that really pisses me off. And then the second thing, which I've kind of experienced, but I don't really mind as much, is fake pins. And I guess at Disney World, it's way bigger because they have a whole bunch of people coming in. But there is a whole line of fake pins for Disney. And I am in the social media pin trading type space. And this woman goes to like stores and she kind of shows what fake pins are. To be honest, I can't really tell. Some of them has gotten so good that they still say like Disney on the back, but they don't have like the actual like circle with the sun around it that is supposed to be for pin trading, which is very, very interesting to me. But cast members, they don't know. Oh, you don't know. So a lot of times people will unfortunately trade fake pins. And to those people that do it intentionally, you literally suck. You're terrible. Like, just, I don't know. It just like, I don't know why you would want to buy fake pins and then trade them. But at the same time, like, no one can really tell. So, it's like one of the pins that I got, I'm pretty sure was fake. But it's like, I'm going to trade that one. So it's like, it's kind of like a universal thing to where as long as you're not a douchebag that's like buying like pins for 50 cents that are fake and then like putting them on pin boards. I don't know. It's controversial, but I don't see it necessarily as like bad. Just don't be a jerk about it and like put a whole bunch of like clearly fake pins. I don't know. It just like they can't really mandate it on the board. So I guess it's controversial, but like for me personally, I really don't care and can't really tell. So I don't see much of an issue with it. But of course, that's me and that's my opinion. And I have come across it a lot. And, they're decent pins and stuff. But a lot of times you can tell with like the quality and how thin they are and all of that. So that does kind of suck. But other than that, those are just the two things that I've kind of like picked up from, for one, being in the community, and two, just being aware of my surroundings. And for me, I don't know. It's so much fun, and I implore you to do it. And also, this video is actually my longest video, and I'm like Very, very excited about that. So please go start pin trading, and also tag me on Twitter if you start. And I want to see the pins that you guys are getting. I am going to post my pin board on Twitter so you guys can see it and maybe zoom in to a couple pins. But yeah, so anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you all so much for listening, and go trade and let me know what you guys find. Anyway, y'all, I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.